And that is the introductory tune to the entrance of the two most finest Ghanaian gentlemen. Malik Abbas-Dabo.
This is our friend. That's our friend.
Good morning.
Super excited.
Good morning.
I'm super excited to see you.
Oh,
I see.
And this is the day that the Lord has made. We must rejoice and be glad in it. Amen. Can I get an amen?
Reverend anymore.
We are,
I'll mind you this morning.
Of course, we are geared up for our doom praise, but
indeed, you have to start.
Except
from the
we are
morning.
sometimes clear in our minds who we take the amen call from.
So, the headlines, please.
Yes.
To be in a hurry to move on.
Yes, but she started it too. The new weekend crusading guide is reporting this morning. Nagra declares nationwide strike, and Tokbinko accused over land. There's also one about some her at UPSA. IGP Lance Minister fingered and revealed PDS demand guarantee invalid. That's on the front page of the new weekend crusading guide.
Raymond, that PDS story is also the front page of the Daily Guide newspaper. PDS deal hangs over missing $12 million guarantee. Policewoman shot in the neck. That's a policewoman who was shot and killed at Kumbungu in the northern region. The police are indicating she was shot in the neck. That's happening in court. Akufo-Addo pushes for agric reforms. Asawasi NDC on rampage.
GPRTU first go up soon? That's the question on the front page of the Daily Statesman. And Asawasi NDC balls over Muntaka. And this is a statement by the General Secretary of the NDC. Is said to have triggered this violence. That's what the Daily Statesman says.
There's a very interesting headline on the back page of the Statesman. The first one up there.
Which one is the interesting one? The recently defeated Joshua Anthony something. He wants.
It's okay.
He wants to fight the man who gave hope to all incoming and current pot-belly men in the Republic, and the Ruiz Jr. Right?
Mm-hmm.
And yes, they have met
the man fighting under the flag of Mexico, right?
Yes,
in the US.
They have met in Saudi Arabia for a possible conversation on that. Anyway,
thank you very much.
The Weekend Today newspaper. Court decides Indum injunction today. That's on page 3. NGO empowers young girls with beads making. And Gomoa Fete Chieftaincy saga. Kingmakers to report Ni Lamte to the police.
Now, the Ghanaian Observer is reporting this morning that Siedin Ketu are accused of destroying NDC, and Mahama's 2020 chances thrown out of control as Lodina takes charge of NDC matters again. AFAG fingers Auditor General, and that's in the paper, the Ghanaian Observer too. The last one, Operation Vanguard exposes DC in fight against Chinese illegal miners.
The Herald newspaper, Cops killer took part in Ayawasu by-election gun violence, 3 massive scandals under youth and sports minister, but the IGP and Lance Minister unleashed terror on UPSA. Akufo-Addo always uncomfortable with Mahama around. That's an aide claiming.
Now, the Finder is reporting this morning 69% of businesses predicted better performance in the first half of 2018. And KNUST management and the alumni call for calm amid threats of violence. And we know the military has been deployed to the school now. And 490,000 qualify for free SHS. Students can check placement on Sunday. This is the GS speaking.
The Chronicle newspaper, Raymond, Akufo-Addo woos African leaders to help penetrate international market. NYA Deputy House over dismissal says he was a whistleblower and ought to have been protected. And Ghana does not need new laws to fight corruption. That's according to the Commission on Human Rights and Administrative Justice charge.
The Ghanaian Times is reporting this morning, the very last paper before me, churches, the state agencies must collaborate to clamp down on child trafficking. And that's on the front page with Wa Regional Airport to open for commercial flights. Take note, October 15. And there's another story there. Of course, the Niger strike, you talked about it. And GS is responding. It says, it won't disrupt school calendar.
There's a variant of the headline of the PDS story on the front page of the Daily Graphic newspaper. PDS puzzle. Consultant clears. The clears is in quote. Consultant clears firm, but government media reject report. NAGRA declaring a strike is here. Sanction against audit firms will improve work quality. That's according to PwC. And the 90,000 qualifying for SHS is also here. Back page of the Daily Graphic newspaper. Man busted for peddling drugs without license. And DVLA to impound vehicles that increase seating capacity.
Okay, Raymond.
Now, the grouping that was actually contracted by MEDA to go into what the allegations have been so far on PDS. We saw the report, we brought you details yesterday.
Yeah.
We put it out there first. And some of the sections I'm about to reiterate for you, since clearly we made the Republic know yesterday some more detail on this. But there's a lot more you should know. There's a section in the report that deals with all the questions on the terms of reference.
Okay, Raymond, start from the beginning. So what report is this? What is
Yes, I told you that is the report that was commissioned by the MEDA on the allegations on PDS.
Okay,
Yes, what else would you want to know?
No, you can continue
Okay,
now.
wonderful. So specifically, it talks about what the main, what they call the point has been so far. One, how was the PDS demand guarantees gotten so far? It shows a process where they went to government, and at some point in time, when it was impossible to get the A-rated bank to come in, they actually got the government of Ghana, through the vice president's specific directive, for them to do the insurance, what they call guarantees rather. So that's how our codes came in. Now, the question that is of major importance to people, which is also the question that's asked in this case, is how much was the insurance premium agreed by the parties? That will charge a 2% premium. Allocations of the premium were made based on the percentage of the risk that was ceded to the particular parties. Indeed, there was a question also about if the signatory, Al Nuri, who executed the demand guarantee, did not have authority to execute them, whether Joe Australia or Danwell knew or should have known that it did not have the authority to execute it. The response from the investigators is that it has not come to their attention that Danwell knew or should have known that Al Nuri did not have the authority to actually execute the demand guarantees in this case. Now, there's a question about, was there any enforceable demand guarantee issued by Al-Qut in place at any point over the last 5 months? The payment securities, that's the response. The payment securities that were presented by Car Bank and PDS to MEDA on February 27, 2019, which were subsequently accepted by the Ministry of Finance and ECG, are, compliant with the recommendations contained in the ICC's uniform rules for demand guarantees. And they further note that officials from Al-Qut confirmed to this investigative grouping that the stamp applied on the acknowledgement and agreement page of the payment securities clearly is that of Al-Qut. They further confirmed that the signatures are that of Al Nuri, and a third person will be introduced to this conversation, Fadi Damnoth. Now, the other question was whether any of PDS, Car Bank, Danwell, Joe Australia, Al-Qut committed or conspired to commit fraud or other malfeasance in relation to the demand guarantees. The response from the investigators is that we have not identified any information to suggest that either PDS, Car Bank, Danwell, or personnel from MEDA committed or conspired to commit fraud or other malfeasance in relation to the demand guarantees. Al-Qut alleges that Al Nuri committed fraud and has provided evidence that an investigation is being conducted. And Al Nuri was suspended as a result of engaging in the alleged fraudulent conduct. Now, there was also a question of whether or not Al-Qut did receive those premiums, which was supposed to have been paid from this country. The detail is that Danwell paid Joe Australia the premiums. One of the retrocedents who is based in Ghana is also confirmed receipt of his portion of the payments in this particular case. There's a final point that ought to be made in this case. It talks about, so if there was an enforceable demand guarantee, can Al-Qut or can the Danwell or any of the institutions in this country take on or go to court and drag Al-Qut along? It says
to enforce it.
Yes, and it says here there is a case in Qatar itself that suggests that this can happen. While this case may provide a basis to proceed in a lawsuit against Al-Qut, it should be noted that it is difficult for the investigators to determine whether or not Al Nuri had apparent or due authority to bind Al-Qut. they would need to do a separate and further analysis to make this particular determination.
Wow.
So basically, the
Which is central.
Yes, because I mean that point was going to put it home and confirm the demand guarantees being finally produced in this case. Now, one other point that's being made here is that I know that government really rejects this report for the avoidance of that. And the conclusions it comes in, for example, the conclusion that there was no malfeasance, whatever is in there, government rejects that. Today, government will actually hold a major press conference to tell you that its investigations have actually revealed this and that in this particular deal. Going forward, we may know the future very soon.
Okay, well, thank you for that,
Those
Raymond.
are weighty and convoluted matters.
Very, very
Let's go
weighty.
to matters I think are much more simpler. So the National Association of Graduate Teachers declaring a strike. It's been a long time since they declared a strike.
Yeah.
So
thankfully so.
Yeah, well, yes. So yesterday, the NAGRAD declared a strike. The president of NAGRAD, Eric Angel Carbonu, was the one who declared this, and he said that the reason why they are declaring this strike is quite a number of issues affecting teachers and the interests of teachers. Chief amongst them, they say, is the introduction of a new human resource management information system. They say that this system has, let me quote what he said, has brought many problems and much pain to teachers in the areas of promotion letters, additional responsibilities, difficulty in reinstating teachers, delay in promotion interviews, and transfers, among others. So these are the things that they listed as this new human resource system having been brought about. And it's because of this that they are declaring a strike. Now, they talk about salary arrears. They say when teachers are promoted, they are supposed to be entitled to some salaries after they have been promoted, and they are supposed to enjoy some increments. But because of this new system, these arrears are not these increments are not computed in good time, so it results in arrears. And yet the teachers want the money to solve their problems. They can find them because the system is not functioning properly. Another issue they raised is their collective bargaining agreement, which they said expired 8 years ago, and all efforts that they have made to try and have re-engagements that will lead to a new collective bargaining agreement have failed. Now, teachers' promotion letters. Teachers have been promoted 3 years or 4 years ago, and yet their promotion letters have still not been issued to them, so that they know where they stand and they can make whatever calculations that they need to make on the basis of the promotion that they have received. Even the promotion interviews that are supposed to be scheduled for them, so that they can go. Teachers have qualified for promotion. They are supposed to go for promotion interviews so that their letters can be issued to them when they do qualify, so that they can enjoy whatever benefits that come with the promotions that they will be given. Those promotion interviews themselves are not being scheduled properly. So a gamut of issues that they have, for which reason they believe that they have to use a strike to force the authorities to resolve these problems so that they too can enjoy the benefits of their labor. Of course, the Ghana Education Service says that this strike, which has been declared by the NAGRAD beginning 5th September 2019, will not disrupt the school calendar. The Education Service believes that it has adequate measures in place to ensure that people in the schools...
Did they say what these adequate measures were?
They have more teachers?
Yeah, they have adequate number of teachers. If it becomes necessary, but of course, essentially they will try and resolve the issues that NAGRAD have raised. Okay. NAGRAD has raised as an association so that they can get back to the classroom.
All right, Raymond, we're staying with education.
Yes, 490,000 people qualify for free SHS this year, and in the coming days they'll be going to school. Now we know that means some 24,000 could not get in or did not qualify for free SHS this year. Now we know the huge numbers are pretty clear in our minds. This year we will have 2 million students in the senior high schools who are all on the free SHS program. And if you multiply one by, let's say, 1,500 or 1,000 cedis, you know the amount of money we are talking about in this particular case. But this, in the finder's report, was from the press conference yesterday by the Ghana Education Service. Some of the things that he actually asked is that Today is Friday. From Sunday, you can proceed to go and check your placement and which
for
school.
SHS,
Yes, and that's a very interesting part for every Ghanaian student because you know which school you are going to, whether the
I
schools
don't know
you chose.
if interesting is the word. It's a nerve-wracking period when
yeah.
you're trying to find out if you got into the school that you wanted. So.
Yes, and those, of course, they've also told the people that can also check it on the cssps.gov.gh website, which is provided, and that will be an easier point than going to, most of the time, there's a thinking that there are some specific areas where you need specific internet to do this, but really you can actually do it at home too. And call center setups also being put out there so that if you are struggling to do or check your placement and you are not clear in your mind what the main procedure is supposed to be, they are provided a call center which they say is on the website, and it is 24/7. Even if you call them at 2 a.m., 1 a.m. or midnight, those still respond. Not a normal working time.
Okay.
Anyway,
all right.
now
okay.
195 million will cover the first term bill for SHS students. This is what is being said by Professor Amankwa. He is the Director General of the Ghana Education Service. Out of that, we are looking at some 61 million for feeding fee, which is already being released. So it's not a problem going into the, which is like 20% of the amount for the feeding fee for third-year students in this case. Now we're also looking at 14 million for the purchase of some perishable foods to be disbursed next week. So those ones, you don't keep it there for a very long time. So you need it to do it as and when you need it. And 85 million to pay school fees for second-year students have also been released. So these are amounts that should have gone out already. And for the first students who are going in, those who are going to see their results from Monday and where they are being placed, more importantly, they have devoted some 95 million to pay their school fees too. In all, we have some 721 senior high schools which are available for placements across the country. We have been told before that not all of these are running the shifts, in this case, the double the tracks and the ones that we have known before. And all the 10 regions will get specific resolution centers. So if you go to Matlik's home region, and you are not in the position to reach out the GES headquarters here,
there'll be a center
there's a center there that will resolve your problems in terms of placement, in terms of when you get to go to school, in terms of whether you think you have been exploited by some headmaster who is compounding the situation with more money demands on you. So this, according to the GES, is how they expect the system to be a bit more smooth going into the few days and months coming for the young people.
I can
in this
also
country.
imagine the anxiety of parents this weekend as they're waiting for these placements to be made. But anyway, okay, let's move on from that. So a very sad story, Malik. Policewoman who has been shot in the neck.
Yes, Nima, it's a sad story because we have been reporting on this policewoman who was killed on the Tamale Kumbungu road in the northern region. Now, details are emerging in the Tamale Magistrates Courts of the circumstances of her killing and what transpired. Now, police prosecutors are telling the Magistrates Court that, and this was when the 6 persons who have been arrested and are standing trial in connection with this killing in this matter were brought to court. The prosecutors say these 6 people were in a vehicle. They got to the barrier. They shot Sergeant Agatha Nabin in the neck. She died instantly. They took away her rifle, and then they attacked another police officer and seized her rifle as well, AK-47 rifle, and then they took off. Now, these 6 persons are Anas Ishaq, Zuleika Abdullahi, Ishaku Yakubu alias Kambonaba, Mahama Nashiru, Samala Tubiga, Hanan Alasan, who is his alias is Grundu. The 6 of them are being tried for murder, conspiracy to commit murder, possession of firearms without lawful authority, and possession of military accoutrements. Now, the details as were put in court is that Isaku Yakubu was first arrested at his residence at Warizeri in the Tamale on July 31st. Now, a search conducted by the police in his room revealed an AK-47, a G3 rifle with live ammunition, spent shells, and assorted military uniforms and accoutrements in his residence. Now, when Isahaku was arrested and interrogated by the police, he mentioned Anas Isahaku. So this Isahaku Yakubu, who was arrested, then he mentioned Anas Isahaku. Now, and actually led the police to the residence where Anas and Abdullahi were both arrested. Now, a search in Anas's residence also revealed two locally manufactured guns, actually, military accoutrements. And when they were being taken to the police station, one of them jumped out of the police vehicle, but the police pursued him and picked him up. They sent him to the police station. They sent him to the hospital where he was treated. And he also mentioned some other persons. So that's how all of the 6 people were arrested who are now standing trial in respect of this matter. Of course, lawyers for the guy who jumped out of the police vehicle is complaining that he's not being treated fairly. The judge also presiding over this matter is not happy that the Attorney General's department has still not concluded its work and that it is limiting the pace at which the case would have traveled.
Okay.
So we have to see the next agenda date, what happens to this case.
All right. Thank you very much, Malik and Raymond, for joining us in the studio this morning. I was actually quite looking forward to that story about the psychologists who have been counseling people who were traumatized at Kaswa. I'm not sure can you do that for us in 30 seconds?
Yes, I'll try. You know the incident that involves the killing of 2 police officers. Now, the police have sent a very special team of psychologists who are very skilled in counseling people who have seen scenes and events that really did not go down well with them.
Traumatizing events.
Yes. Now, to be fair, they are going to make sure that they go house to house, identify the main people who saw how a policeman was gunned down, another person who was gunned down in this particular case, and give them the required counseling. This to me is novel, and I applaud the Ghana Police Service for it. We asked for it when it came to the Takoradi, what they call it, girls and their families and all of that, but they were not so forthcoming with information in that direction. But this one, we can clap for the police. It's a step in the right direction. We hope that they continue with this kind of service.
And speedily.
Then we consider them a service, not
as opposed to right. Okay.
But they are not a force. Yeah,
well, thank you, Malik and Raymond, for joining us on the news review. I'm sure we will have a lot more of you in the course of the show, especially when I'm talking about understanding men. I'll be interested in guessing what the two of you have to say about that. Well, the online news review is coming up next. It's brought to you by Zenith Bank in your best interest and Goyle Good Energy. Make your day productive by relying on quality fuel from Goyle, your 3-time CIMG Petroleum Company of the Year. Goyle Super XP and Diesel XP are additivated to enhance a strong engine performance and prolong the lifespan of your vehicle. Get your money's worth every day by buying fuel and lubricants from any of Goyle's over 360 service stations nationwide. Buy Goyle, grow Ghana. Goyle Good Energy, Goyle Yenara Yedia. And you can travel light, shop light, pay light, and live light with Zenith Bank's array of electronic banking products. Whether you're a corporate entity or an individual, Zenith Bank has everything that you need. Sign up today for Zenith Bank's electronic banking solutions and enjoy the convenience of banking on the go. Go light with Zenith Bank. It's faster and smarter. Zenith Bank, in your best interest. And myjoyonline.com is reporting, why not Ghana beyond corruption? The Dutch ambassador asks. The Netherlands ambassador to Ghana, Ron Stryker, has asked the government of Ghana to pursue a policy of Ghana beyond corruption. And then the BBC.com is reporting how the international media reported Mugabe's death. Robert Mugabe, Zimbabwe's first post-independence leader, has died at the age of 95. His family have confirmed his death to the BBC. Mr. Mugabe had been receiving treatment in a hospital in Singapore since April. The New York Times says Robert Mugabe, strong man who cried, Zimbabwe is mine, dies at 95. And there's much more on My Joy Online, Adum Online, and the BBC.com.
Let no one who is negative want to spoil what we are doing for ourselves in order to unite Africa. We belong to this continent. We don't mind having and bearing sanctions banning us from Europe. We are not Europeans. We have not asked for any inch of Europe or any square inch of that territory. So, Blair, keep your England and let me keep my Zimbabwe.
And that's Robert Mugabe there. Blair, keep your England and let me keep my Zimbabwe. The life and legacy of Robert Mugabe. We'll be talking a lot more about that on the Super Morning Show this morning. Stay tuned in.